What's up guys, this is David here today, and today guys I'll be answering someone's question. The question is asked by Rajesh Gautam, and he has asked me how harmful are hookahs as compared to cigarettes. This topic is really interesting once you do your research. There's a lot of things you'll find on the surface level, but then the truth is really deep. Once you type it into Google, you'll get a lot of search results and you will easily believe these things because they've been presented in such a way that you won't ask any more questions. But the truth is really shocking, and I feel it's also quite smart on their part to be, presenting the facts in that manner. Anyways guys, I'll just introduce you all to the facts. So let's get started. So guys, let me show you what information you'll find when you Google that, and let's treat them like two sides of a coin. One cannot exist without the other, obviously. One side is saying that hookah is better than smoking a cigarette, and the other side is saying that cigarettes are better than smoking a hookah and hookahs are really harmful. So what are these people actually trying to say? Who do you listen to? Who do you actually believe? So guys, my suggestion to y'all is listen to everyone, but then use your instinct, and you should be knowing the facts to be able to correctly judge what these guys are trying to say. So to know the facts, you actually need to research, but don't worry, that is exactly why I am here. So guys, you listen to both these sides and apply factual knowledge to actually judge whether these claims are true or not. We better analyze these statements because you cannot trust anyone these days. And guys, I would also say, don't even trust me. You should trust the facts. And I would even ask you guys to believe me and what I say about this topic, whether hookah being more harmful or cigarettes. I would say that, just watch the video, get to know the facts, and you decide yourself, make that judgment, get to a conclusion, and then make that decision whether you want to choose hookah smoking or cigarette smoking. You can do whatever you want, but make that decision yourself. Don't get influenced by me or anybody else on the internet. Because guys, I'm just here to help my subscribers and all of those watching who are going to become my subscribers, since this is my way of giving back to y'all, and I want to thank you for subscribing to my channel. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be making these videos. Thank you for asking questions. It's a pleasure helping y'all. Alright guys, so it's time to expose the truth. Also, don't get surprised when you get to know the truth. Instead, just hit that like button so I get to know that it really helped y'all. Alright guys, so first we listen to claims that people make when they say that hookah is healthier than a cigarette. So the first thing that these guys say is that the smoke gets filtered through the water while coming up in a shisha. So obviously the smoke is less toxic than a cigarette smoke. Guys, this is actually a myth, and it's time to bust this myth, because the truth is that the water is then the pot just to cool down the smoke, because when you're pulling in the smoke through the hose, it's going in so smoothly. Do you realize that? And if you try to do it on a cigarette, you'll start coughing if you're not a cigarette smoker. So all that the water does in a hookah is that it cools down the smoke while it's coming into your mouth. That's the only purpose of the water. So guys, the water does not filter the smoke. Alright, so point number 2 that people say why hookah is less harmful is because it does not contain nicotine, and that's why it is not as addicting as a cigarette. The truth is that hookah does actually contain a small amount of nicotine. If you compare it to a cigarette, then it's very less, but hookah does contain nicotine. But the quantity of nicotine is so less that you don't feel the need to smoke hookah that much unless you're a very heavy smoker. Because just like a cigarette, you get hooked to it and you just want that cigarette once more, you want that nicotine in your body. But in case of hookah, the tobacco is washed tobacco, so the nicotine gets rinsed off in the process of making the flavor. Hence, there is not as much nicotine in a shisha flavor if you compare it to a cigarette. So guys, the truth here, let me repeat it, is that hookah does contain nicotine, but the concentration level is so low that it does not make a difference to the human body. Of course, unless you're smoking a shisha whole day long, and at the end of the day, you'll definitely had so much smoke in your body that the nicotine levels have definitely risen by a notch. So guys, claim number 3 is that shisha is not harmful because I use herbal hookah. So if you think that shisha is not harmful because you have been smoking herbal flavor, then I would just tell you any kind of smoking is harmful. Although unlike a cigarette, you're not burning the flavor in a hookah, so you're actually just vaporizing the flavor. you're steaming it, that smoke that is coming is not because of burnt flavor, it's because you're vaporizing it. Herbal hookah also uses the coal, so the carbon monoxide from the coal is also not that healthy. It's definitely bad, but not as bad as a cigarette, because in a cigarette you are actually lighting it with a lighter. That's far, it's lit, you're burning the tobacco, and since you're burning the tobacco, there are way more chemicals in a cigarette than you can even compare to a hookah. Way more. And by the way guys, cigarettes also have added chemicals which manufacturers add purposely. In natural tobacco, these chemicals aren't there. So in the processing of a cigarette, manufacturers add a lot of chemicals, and I'll be rolling the chemicals, whatever they're called, right over here. If you're still watching this, then it's because, and not even one is repeated, okay, in this list. You're still watching this because there are 4,000 chemicals involved. So guys, this was the end of reasons or myths why people feel that hookah smoking is healthier alternative to cigarettes. But keep in mind, these were just myths, okay? None of this was true. I will tell you what the truth is, and I will be showing y'all a few points that the media has been constantly brainwashing people with to make them believe that hookah is actually really bad and even worse than cigarettes. Alright guys, point number 1 is that you smoke almost 100 times more smoke per puff while smoking hookah. Of course, this statement is really scary for those of us who smoke hookah, but guys, don't worry. What this statement means is that per puff you're smoking 50 to 80 ml of smoke in a cigarette, alright? In a hookah, you're smoking about 90,000 ml per puff. Now I know if you compare these two numbers, of course hookah smoke is way more than cigarette smoke. But guys, do you know how smoke comes out in a cigarette versus how smoke comes out in a hookah? The smoke constitution, the constituents of smoke from a shisha is different than what it is in a cigarette. Shisha smoke actually is created because glycerine, one of the main components of shisha, gets vaporized, and that's the only reason you get such a dense smoke in hookah. Have you ever tried to get a dense smoke in cigarettes? No, why? Have you thought why you can't get such a dense smoke in cigarettes? Because you're actually burning the tobacco. It's pure tobacco. They stuff as much tobacco as they can in a cigarette, and that's why you can't get that dense smoke in a cigarette like you can in a hookah. And if you go to check, then by weight, a cigarette contains 1 gram of tobacco in it on an average. If you compare it to a hookah, then the hookah contains about 6 grams of tobacco in a 50-gram packet. So you're gonna smoke this 50 grams in what, like maybe 3 sessions? So if you divide it, then you're getting about 15 to 17 grams of flavor in one sitting. In one sitting, you're smoking it for around an hour. In an hour, you're smoking that much tobacco, but the weight, most of the weight of the flavor is coming from the glycerine, the honey, the molasses. Alright, so my point is, you're smoking way more smoke in hookah, but the constituents of the smoke from a shisha is very less harmful if you compare it to the constituents of smoke in a cigarette. Just like you all saw before, that whole list of the chemicals in cigarette smoke, all of those harmful chemicals are present in cigarette smoke and not in hookah smoke. Hookah smoke may have a very few of those chemicals, but not all 4,000 of them. So guys, the next point is number 2, where we have the media saying that an hour of hookah smoking equals 100 cigarettes being smoked. So this claim may be really scary for some of us, but whoever made this shit up, seriously, alright, you know what? You know what we can do? You smoke, whoever made this claim, you smoke 100 cigarettes, and I will smoke shisha for 1 hour, and then we will see, who can stand up and who can walk. Guys, I have friends who smoke max to max 10 cigarettes, one after another, chain smoking 10 cigarettes, and that's about it. Trying to smoke 100 cigarettes one after the other, you're definitely not going to be able to even stand up. So this is not what happens when you smoke shisha for an hour. The constituents of the smoke in shisha are different. Mainly it is just glycerine vapor. So you're not going to experience the side effects of smoking a cigarette when you smoke shisha. So the reason why a hookah smoker will be alright after an hour of smoking is because he didn't inhale countless amounts of toxic gases that the other cigarette smoker did. The amount of nicotine inside the hookah smoker is way less than the nicotine in the cigarette smoker. Cigarette burns, the tobacco burns, and in case of hookah, it is just vaporizing the glycerine. So guys, the shisha and a vape are very similar. Both do the same job. You can call a hookah as a first generation vape because in the end both of them are vaporizing glycerine. So guys, we've seen a lot of facts here. It's clear that hookah smoking isn't as harmful as cigarette smoking. So why is the media trying to portray hookah smoking as such a bad thing? For example, D News, Discovery News, their YouTube channel, they posted a video talking about how bad hookah smoking is and the host, the narrator, is just reciting lines from what you search on Google. The first website, whatever the website says, the narrator is just copy pasting it. That's his script. He needs a new script. So anyways, they concluded that cigarettes are better than hookahs because of the same points that we just saw before. Hookah smoking is longer, more smoke, more chemicals. It's really fishy because it turns out that D News is owned by Rupert Murdoch. Rupert Murdoch has been known to be investing in the tobacco industry, and guess what, the tobacco industry hasn't really spread its roots into the hookah industry. So if any cigarette tobacco smoker converts to a hookah smoker, then guys, this tobacco industry is going through a major loss. There are a lot of cigarette smokers, and that is where the business for the tobacco industry comes in. So if these guys turn to hookah smoking, let's say hypothetically, then the tobacco industry is losing out a lot of money. So guys, if you haven't connected the dots already, I will explain this to you in an easier fashion. The greedy and money-minded tobacco tycoons are manipulating the media, most of which they actually own, to portray that hookah is really bad if you compare it to a cigarette. And guys, as you all know, media these days influences almost everyone. There's not even one untouched person in the modern world who is not influenced by the media. At least most of us are anyway. So guys, with all of this, I have come to a conclusion that hookah isn't really as bad as people portray it to be. Of course, it's really bad. Any kind of smoking is really bad. In fact, hookah is really bad. I want to tell you that right now. But if you compare it to cigarettes, then guys, cigarettes is the worst. You shouldn't be touching cigarettes. If you do a Google search, then definitely you will get hookah as the worst from the two. But this is because these businessmen who have invested in the tobacco industry want the media to be telling you that, so that you listen to them and leave hookah and only smoke cigarettes. Anyways guys, so I want to help you all further in this video by telling you all what you can do to make your hookah sessions healthier or less harmful. You must have heard of people saying that if you share your pipes with different people, then you might get the disease that they have. This is absolutely correct. So when you're at a hookah parlor, you want to make sure that you're in a closed group, maybe of 3 people, 4 people max, and you know these people really well. You know that they don't have a disease. It shouldn't be that there's some third person joining y'all and he has some disease that you don't know about, and you're still sharing the hookah pipe with all of your friends. So definitely, obviously, everyone will catch that disease, right? So you have to make sure next time that when you're smoking hookah with a couple of friends, that you know every one of them and none of them has a disease. Alright guys, the second point is that you should be using non-tobacco flavors, since even though the tobacco and the tobacco flavor is very low, if you're still concerned about that level, then you should definitely go for a non-tobacco flavor. It will not give you that nicotine in your body. No headaches as such, no nausea as such. I've also made another video on this topic. You can probably check out the card that I've just put right now. Guys, the third point, you should be smoking shisha on a terrace, on your balcony, in an open space, or if you're in an indoor space, then go out for fresh air after a few minutes, and that will make sure that you don't get a lot of carbon monoxide in your body, because if you're in a closed space, then the air surrounding you will only be carbon monoxide. It'll be really good for your lungs if you are taking a break after every few minutes or something. And the last point being here is that your shisha session should not exceed 30-minute mark. You can continue smoking shisha for however long you want, but if you're with a group and you're smoking, you shouldn't cross 30 minutes, since the flavor starts getting burned. You'll be smoking a lot of shit. If you're alone, then alright, a 1 hour mark sounds good enough, but when 3 to 4 people smoking the same pot, of course the usage gets increased, and hence 30-minute mark sounds good too. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this video was really helpful to y'all, and thank you Gautam for asking me this question. I will always answer questions that you post in the comments below, so if you have any questions, you can definitely post it below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because guys, I really love y'all. When y'all subscribe to me, I can see the numbers increasing. It really helps me, motivates me to make more videos for y'all. Don't forget to press the like button, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Have a good day.